I'm sharing a video today, which is something that I got a download about over the weekend. So I haven't really prepared this. So I'm just going to give it a whirl and see how it goes and see if I can articulate something which I've kind of known for a long time. But sometimes it's about putting things into words that we kind of have as like tacit knowledge. So I'm going to share a few concepts, terminology, things that you might well have heard in other you know content or come across. I'm going to try and put things together in a slightly different way in the context of coaching and the benefit that coaching has and the real sort of purpose of coaching. So let's talk about and I've written about this in other posts and other articles, healthy and unhealthy ego, also referred to as kind of monkey brain or chimp brain or lizard brain, and then kind of intelligent kind of conscious self. In some more kind of spiritual contexts, you might hear the term kind of authentic whole worthy self, compared to our shadowy parts and our inner child. Survive and thrive is another set of contexts, or kind of concepts, and also in positive intelligence, which is something that I'm a big fan of and very familiar with, we have sage or kind of wise person, and then saboteur, and all of these kind of concepts are really getting at the same point. And there's a bit of nuance as well, because I've used very binary language, and that's also the point, is that nothing in life is ever binary. Nothing is ever absolute. It's either absolutely this or absolutely that. It's all about the grey in between. So although I'm talking in this video in an illustrative way about these kind of two polar concepts, actually what I'm really talking about is almost like a sliding scale, and I'll come back to what I mean by that in a moment. But the point is really in is kind of humans and the way that we evolve and develop kind of individually, but also collectively as humanity. And I talk about this in another video as well, that we for the most part are operating unconsciously. We're operating from a very small part of our brain that's conscious. Most of our behaviors, beliefs, thoughts, actions, choices, decisions are unconscious for the most part. They're automatic and they're default, and a lot of the behaviors that we operate from are cultivated and kind of set in our childhood, early development years. So before the prefrontal cortex is fully developed, which is the part of the brain that governs executive decision making, so values-based judgments and decision making, emotional regulation. It also helps us to kind of discern the difference between whether something is kind of right for us or not, whether something is true for us or not. And so a lot of the time we're making choices and decisions based on our kind of childhood ways of operating. I'm not saying we're being childish, but these are coping mechanisms or survival mechanisms or strategies that we've adopted before our prefrontal cortex has developed, that enabled us to kind of survive, or that comforted us in challenging moments, difficult experiences that we had when we were children, and we carry them forwards into our adult lives without kind of conscious attunement. And what that means is that as adults, when we kind of know more and we know differently, these behaviors and these traits can start to trip us up, and they can actually start to get in the way of our growth and progress. And that really is at the root, of what coaching or any kind of personal growth and development is. It's helping us to make what is unconscious more conscious. So out of our kind of back of our minds into the front of our minds, so that we can start to look at things and take different choices and different actions in the moment. And especially true when we talk about habits and setting new habits, that we don't just set a new habit and then go and do it. The process behind that is understanding, where does that habit come from? Where does the belief come from? What's the thought that's driving the behavior that we're trying to change? And that's really at the root of a lot of the coaching that I do. And so I wanted to share this, and I'm going to share another video about something called the victim saboteur specifically. And when I use that terminology, I am not labeling anyone as a victim. I am very specifically using positive intelligence as a terminology of the victim. So somebody that deploys victim traits in a particular context. I'm going to talk more about that in another video. But today I really just wanted to share this because it's so important when we talk about, kind of growth and development, to really understand all the ways that we do get in our own way and all the ways that we do sabotage ourselves, and how we start to, bring that into the unknown, and bring the unknown into the known. And I'm, kind of drawing on almost 30 years now of understanding and amassing and accumulating these tools, insights, techniques, and kind of frames of reference in order to kind of understand this much more deeply for the benefit of my clients. I've talked in another video and another post about something called the ladder of conscious competence. That's another one of my favorite tools, which I use a lot and refer to a lot, which again describes the process of us kind of operating from our default ways of behaving, unconscious incompetence, and the invitation to start to operate from a more conscious brain, so that we can start to take intentional choices that get us to different and better outcomes. Something else to say, the way that I kind of look at life, this is a belief that I've kind of developed and cultivated over many years. It wasn't a belief I originally had, and we're not born with our beliefs. We pick our beliefs up over time, again, for the most part, when we're young and before our cognitive brain has fully developed. That one of the beliefs that I operate from is that in any situation or any kind of dynamic or any context, when we experience something negative, trigger or an event or something challenging that happens to us, it's how quickly do we get back to our kind of true self and operate from our kind of true, authentic self, rather than operating from the kind of conditioning and the programming and the expectations that we've picked up externally, and that we're operating from unconsciously. So quite often we talk about, I'm doing this because I think I should do, because it's what's expected of me, but it doesn't feel true or right for me. And that's really what we're trying to get at in coaching, is being able to take decisions based on what you know to be true for you, based on your unique operating context and your unique kind of individual self. So I wanted to share that. I hope it was helpful. Look out for my other video on the victim saboteur as well, and I look forward to seeing you soon.